Good evening. What is there in common between a young, unskilled person, someone who has a handicap and no job, a migrant who's been uprooted, or someone who gets a sort of a minimum social benefit? Confidence or lack of confidence, the lack of self-confidence, the lack of confidence which other people might have in them. In fact, you look at someone who doesn't have work in society in a special way, and that undermines this confidence. Majid, who has become a friend, he turned up on our doorstep at 2002. He was 45 or 46 years old at the time. He'd hardly ever worked in his life. He suffered from strong dyslexia. He couldn't read or write, and he grew up in a family which made his life really complicated. He came to work with us in a workshop which upgrades IT equipment. He gained confidence. He got training from a speech therapist. He learned to read and write. In other words, we gave him a lot of support. And then at one point, he found an opportunity to work at Polytechnique, which is one of the French grandes écoles, the major engineering schools. Our association got an award, and we went to a cocktail party. The award was given by a big investment fund, so we went there, and I said to Hamid, well, come with me. It'd be much more fun. We'll talk about our association. And I talked about Majid, who just gone to Polytechnique. We didn't say exactly how. And someone at the cocktail party came up to see me and said, oh, so you're in Polytechnique? And Majid said, yes. I'm doing a training course as a general factotum. I push the rubbish bins. And then the guy said, oh, and turned his back and left. And that way of looking at someone, when it happens to you all the time, you lose your self-confidence. Yet, as you know, self-confidence is of fundamental importance. If you lose your self-confidence, you use all your means, the way of thinking, acting. You've all had a time when you felt that your self-confidence was totally drained and you don't know what to do. And that's what happens when you are jobless for a long time. So restoring self-confidence for people who are very vulnerable is the vocation of ARES, which I have the pleasure of running together with my teams, and I've been there for just over 10 years. It's a sort of a springboard company which is designed to enable people in difficulty to become independent again and find a job. And our motto is that nobody is unemployable. So what is a sort of a springboard company? Well, these are companies in various lines of activities. More than 600 colleagues work in ARES, in logistics, e-commerce, transport, goods, services, the circular economy, and for a while, even in digital areas. What's the goal? The goal is to enable people who've been out of work for between 2 and 10 years, people who've never worked, to get back to work, have a wage, meet colleagues, feel useful, and be able to rediscover and develop their talents and skills. So it entails going back to work, like others, but it also calls for social and professional support that is personalized, because when you don't have a job, you end up having a lot of problems. We have to help to solve emergency issues like housing, indebtedness, health. Sometimes it's difficult to think about the future when you don't know where you're going to sleep that evening. When you gain a steadier footing, then we help these people to work on their professional project. What do I know how to do? What do I want to do? What are the opportunities on the job market? We work also on training, upgrading skills, learning French for those who don't speak the language well, and of course qualifications for the jobs they want to hold down, and then finally find a job. That means becoming a good job seeker. You can be a good worker and not be able to know how to find a job. And we work with about 100 companies which recruit. We organize bridges for our people working with us who've shown their skills, and courageous companies who want to hire such people who know what they want from life. 600 or 700 people this year will go through us, and most of them end up finding a job. And this dignity, this independence, they no longer need other people to be able to lead a decent life. So, how to put an end to unemployment? Obviously, I'm not going to talk to you about state policy or economic models. I want to talk to you about people. What I've learned from over 15 years in combating exclusion is that while work is not everything, unemployment, as Jean-Baptiste Foucault said, destroys everything. Of course, it destroys the person who is unemployed and also spreads a sort of gangrene throughout society because it creates anxiety. It creates fear of the future. And it's worth knowing that French people are more pessimistic than Afghans or Iraqis. More than 1 out of 2 French people are afraid of being homeless one day. And if you have no such trust, or confidence, how can you move forward? This is a problem which concerns us all. Not in the way people see on the TV, but people need to think, well, what can I do about this? How can I act? There isn't anyone in this room who can't do something to combat unemployment and help people who are unemployed. First of all, look at them differently. Look at people with consideration. You may have an opportunity to meet unknown people, to meet people at the LH Forum. Think about the person before what he does. Your attitude shouldn't be different if you're talking to a general manager or someone who's looking for his or her first job. It's a philosophy. It's a way of being in life, which I think is very important if you want to combat unemployment. Second point, you can become involved in giving these people support on an informal basis with people you know. You can encourage and help people who you know. You can become involved in an association like ARES or Solidarité Nouvelle contre le chômage. There are all sorts of ways of helping people who've lost their jobs. And if you're in a company, if you have an important position in your company, you can think about how you buy things. You can think about how you can help these companies which work to assist the jobless, help them find employment. You can think about how you recruit. Like Marie-Laure Chalon at feminin.com, people could say, okay, insertion is just for minor jobs. But some people really give thought to the matter and will hire several of our people. And that is a question of motivation and positive culture. So you can see that everyone can do something, and that's the message I wanted to convey this evening. There are three ingredients which are important on the strength of my 15 years experience. We're here, you're here to think about a positive society. You cannot design a positive society unless it's totally inclusive. I think we should remember three words: confidence, without which we are nothing and can do nothing. I'm thinking about knowledge as well. Access to knowledge. 9 out of 10 people in France don't have the level of a first high school diploma, because the lack of diplomas and joblessness often go hand in hand. We have to invest in education and training for all, particularly in a society where we know that most unskilled jobs will disappear within 5 or 10 years. And then there's the third point: meaning, social usefulness. And perhaps over and beyond just work, what counts in work is to know what purpose you serve. Work is a way of contributing to a joint project. We need to think about all the social needs that exist in this phase of humanity, where we have to choose between transforming or dying. Maybe this could open up all sorts of new possibilities, because there are such huge social needs when it comes to supporting people. So many people need help in education. So many people are isolated. We need to work on well-being, the environment. And we companies often have led to the creation of new sectors. I'm thinking about recycling waste, for example, and the creation of jobs. We have created thousands and thousands of jobs in France because we looked at the social needs and the usefulness of all these new jobs, and this led to a huge job creation. Of course, with ARES, our association won't put an end to unemployment single-handed. We can't create endless jobs to put an end to joblessness for once and for all. But what I'm thinking about is the over 10,000 people who have gone through our association and have found work, become dignified again. Often they turned up in a state of total personal distress and were able to come back and do something with their lives. So you have to believe in these people and provide them with support, and that goes a long way to putting an end to unemployment. Thank you.